When we watch movies, just want to escape into another life, another world, or forget about your friggin' boss for a couple of hours.
I play a lot of online Scrabble with my boss, Ron Swanson.
If it's the latter, then Mike Judge's Office Space should cheer you up. For the rest of us casual viewers, does the movie magic work its charm on us, or is it the buttery goop that's on your popcorn affecting your senses? Something equally golden is cinema's long and shimmering history, and in its glorious run has given us unmeasured hours of viewing enjoyment. Maybe you even cried silently in the dark. Cheer up! We have some of the best blooper comedy gold. In some, the actors may have accidentally slipped in character, but we're 98% sure that no banana peels were involved. Enjoy this video, and be sure to subscribe to CBR and join the notification squad to stay up to date with all of our latest videos. Alicia Silverstone. Clueless. She's a Barbie girl in a Barbie world, but you can't fault her. Come on, guys. She's really trying. Alicia Silverstone stars in the surprisingly funny and poignant movie Clueless. Her character Cher, totally fills the role as an irrepressible Beverly Hills princess as she approaches her 16th birthday. She's the most popular girl at school and can't do any wrong in the eyes of her peers, except for her social-minded ex-stepbrother Josh, who's staying with them over summer break.
I hope you're not thinking of staying here.
They argue often, Cher calls him a scuzzy tree hugger, and Josh retorts always with her being vain and superficial. We're not kidding, but he should have thrown in geographically impaired too, which she demonstrates in a debate class scene when the teacher gives her the proposition on immigration for refugees. Cher leads with the incredible solution to the Haitians' plight by comparing immigration to her father's 50th birthday party. In her wordy yarn, she basically said that the Haitians could party with them and that the Statue of Liberty doesn't have RSVP written in it. The only problem is that Alicia mispronounced Haitians like this.
Like right now, for example, the Haitians.
It was an honest mistake, but man, it worked perfectly.
Will you excuse me?
Robin Williams, The Birdcage. Like most of Robin Williams' movies, The Birdcage features a fair amount of improvisation, but it also features the comic master making an accidental trip on camera, recovering and moving on in a matter of seconds without breaking character Armand Goldman, the owner of a drag club called The Birdcage. Armand and his partner Albert are greeted with good news. Armand's son has just announced that he's getting married to Barbara, who has parents that are ultra-conservative. You see where this is going. Gene Hackman plays the Republican Senator Kevin Keeley and is the co-founder of a rigid group called the Coalition for Moral Order. As they say, if you can't stand the heat, stay out of the kitchen. And it's in a particular scene where the wedding dinner is slowly going off the rails that Armand is going berserk to save the event. Screaming at Albert for making soup as the main course, he attempts to deliver the pot to the dinner table. In a hilarious tirade, Robin plummets to the floor that had been soaked for Hank Azaria's tumbles.
Shut up! It's okay. We're all right. It's fine. Just shut up, goddamn.
Sure, there are a lot of falling bloopers, but Williams' recovery and not skipping a beat was comedic genius. The lineup scene, the usual suspects. Trying to manage an ensemble cast can be a frustrating experience, or side-splitting depending on the director's temperament. Just ask Bryan Singer, who fought an uphill battle trying to keep Kevin Spacey, Stephen Baldwin, Benicio del Toro, Gabriel Byrne, and Kevin Pollak focused on that well-known police lineup scene. All they had to do was step forward and read a line on a piece of paper. Sure, it sounded simple enough, but this task took the better part of a day, and they never did deliver.
Knock it off, get back.
Maybe they should have set the scene in a classroom, because the actors were as focused as delinquent children in school, cracking up and flubbing their lines eternally, which rose the irritation of Bryan Singer, who at lunch dragged the actors aside and gave them an earful. Well, you can catch more bees with honey than vinegar, but in the end, it didn't matter, as the happy accident resulted in a much-loved scene that gave the suspects a carefree and almost scoffing attitude towards the police's investigation. The biggest suspect in the unruliness was Benicio del Toro, who never discussed his character's portrayal with the cast prior to shooting the lineup scene. Del Toro's character, Fenster, had a thick and indiscernible accent.
In English, please.
Excuse me.
Pollak improvised a line in response. What did you say? There were no one-take wonders that day, but what really fueled the disruption was Del Toro's persistent flatulence. Laughing gas? Well, no. And yes, don't light a match, because the giggles never allowed the scripted scene to come to fruition, and Singer was forced to take the best blooper scenes for the film.
Initiate in 5 seconds.
The Fly, Raiders of the Lost Ark. There's being a fly on the wall, but being one on the roof of someone's mouth would be disgusting. The scenes leading up to the explosive conclusion to Raiders of the Lost Ark had actor Paul Freeman, who played Indiana Jones's rival, the French archaeologist René Belloc, berate a tied and bound Jones and Marion Ravenwood when a housefly lands on Freeman's lips and it briefly stays there before appearing to fly into his mouth. Freeman said that he stayed in character and carried on with the scene because, in his words, "I didn't think that anyone noticed it, but we sure did, and so did the editor, who trimmed a few frames to deliberately make it seem like Freeman swallowed the fly. In reality, it flew away, probably to the craft service table. Indy and Marion averted their eyes from the liquefying horror going on around them to emerge safe and leave us with the iconic footage of the Ark being wheeled into a government warehouse. I could handle being a fly in that room."
Oh, thought you were gonna tell me what a bad Googleizer I am.
A what?
But why male models? Zoolander. There's something up in model world, but it's not Derek Zoolander's IQ. And if his gray matter really mattered, then he might have taken longer to figure out who's behind all these fashion murders, only if this dimwit had perfected blue steel earlier. Ben Stiller is a versatile comedic actor, and was a la mode in the very exfoliated skin of Zoolander, the world's most famous model. It's the film's portrayal of fashion models that paints their perfect faces with an irresistible blemish: their vapidness.
Look, without Derek Zoolander, male modeling wouldn't be what it is today.
When Zoolander and his flatmates and fellow models go on a pick-me-up cruise around the hood, having a fabulous time, they roll up to a gas station and celebrate with a gasoline fight. The slow-motion frolicking is gut-busting enough, but then one of the models lights a cigarette and the good times end in a flash. Boom! The gas station explodes, and Derek's buddies along with it. The blow devastates Derek. He quits modeling and returns to his humble roots, the coal mines. Derek has the best coal mining scarves.
I think I'm getting the black lung.
And if he isn't sleepwalking enough through the film, he sets up a brilliant unscripted gaffe in a clandestine meeting with former hand model J.P. Pruitt, played by David Duchovny. Pruitt gives Matilda and Zoolander a long and complicated explanation about the plot to kill the Prime Minister of Malaysia using brainwashed runway models, including Zoolander. By the end of Pruitt's speech, Stiller forgot his line and repeated the question that prompted the spiel in the first place.
But why male models?
You serious? I just told you that a moment ago.
Duchovny's reaction is hilarious.
I'm heading on up New York City, man.
Dustin Hoffman, Midnight Cowboy. Being 36th on the American Film Institute's list of top 100 films list isn't anything to sneeze at, even if you're talking about that sickly Ratso Rizzo portrayed by Dustin Hoffman. He befriends a Texan drifter named Joe Buck, played by John Voight, and on their first encounter, Rizzo sets Joe up on a pretty, let's say, compromising business date. Thanks a lot, Ratso. Joe Buck finds the lame-legged scoundrel and shakes him down, and Ratso, feeling guilty, invites him to stay at his place, which is a rat's nest. Midnight Cowboy is a sobering and often sad film that's indicative of the gritty wave of America's new cinema. Golly gee, this film claims a classic blooper. Since Midnight Cowboy was a low-budget feature, they had to cut corners, like hiding the camera and filming around New York City, probably because they couldn't afford the shooting permits. For example, the famous scene when Rizzo and Buck are walking across a busy Manhattan street and Hoffman's nearly run down by a cabbie. Hoffman, in character, slams the hood of the cab and yells,
I'm walking here! I'm walking here!
It was a real reaction that audiences could identify with. The Academy awarded this film with Best Picture, Best Director, and Best Adapted Screenplay, and it's the only X-rated movie to have won Best Picture, but that rating has since been downgraded to R.
I'm a reprogrammed Imperial droid.
K2SO Backhander. Star Wars Rogue One. The latest installment in the most famous saga hailing from a galaxy far, far away helped to make us believe that the spin-offs were a good idea. This tale takes place before Episode 4, A New Hope, which beautifully climaxes with the rebels stealing the Death Star plans and the reveal of Leia holding the data card. The ambassadorial ship Tantive 4 flies off on its ill-fated escape from Darth Vader and into the start of the next movie. Many will agree that this parallel storyline predating the trash compactor incident was loads of fun for us, but Rogue One gives us some familiar-ish character dynamics. K2SO is a snarky Imperial droid that was reformatted by the Rebellion, and his bad-mannered lip is a byproduct of the reprogramming. So it's safe to say that K2SO won't be working as a diplomatic model. His malcontented personality does yield some priceless lines, usually involving the protagonist, Jin, like when K2 appears to give her words of support, stating,
"I'll be there for you. Cassian said I had to.
Or when Jin shoots a droid identical to K2SO, and obviously annoyed, he questions her,
Did you know that wasn't me?
The best one is when Cassian Andor, Jin, and K2 try to slip away in the aftermath of a battle with stormtroopers at Jeddah and are stopped by an Imperial guard. K2SO tries to talk their way out of the predicament when the mocapped actor, Alan Tudyk from Firefly fame, gave Diego Luna a real backhander across his face. The slap surprised him enough that he had to cover his face to hide his laughter.
Shall we continue?
Daryl Hannah. Blade Runner. It's November 2019 in Los Angeles, and the environmental decay has transformed the Sunshine State into dreary old London. Just count the umbrellas on that street. The only relief from the rain is getting yourself to one of those off-world colonies. But how can one learn about that? Ad blimps, of course. As we all know, replicants are forbidden on Earth and relegated to menial and or dangerous jobs in space. But seeing attack ships on fire off the shoulder of Orion would be totally worth it. Not a big bonus for Roy, Pris, Leon, and Jorah, who are far more interested in receiving more life from their creator, the coke-bottled Dr. Eldon Tyrell. Harrison Ford plays Decker, whose arm is twisted to retire the replicants, and the slippery fun begins as the 4 skin jobs split up around the city to achieve their respective objectives. Leon? Well, he blew away another Blade Runner during a Voight Conf test, a method of distinguishing replicants from human through a series of questions designed to elicit an emotional response. Boy, did he ever fail. Jorah, on the other hand, is happy to be dancing with her snakes. Roy is busy shaking down a synthetic eye manufacturing plant / walk-in freezer, and they learn of a talented genetic designer named J.F. Sebastian. Finally, Pris, played by Daryl Hannah, stalks Sebastian, who is entering the seemingly abandoned apartment building where he lives. Hannah feigns surprise as J.F. unlocks the door, and she runs full speed into a parked car hard enough to break an actual windshield, but remained in character. This role helped to raise her status in Hollywood, and considering she required surgery afterwards, she became a hard hitter in the movie biz.
Shall not pass!
Mind the Gap. The Lord of the Rings, the Fellowship of the Ring. Life in the Shire is definitely idyllic. Rolling green meadows, wonders to behold, and plenty of downtime to relax with your pals. The beauty of the New Zealand landscape is enough to lull anyone into a lovely nap. The filming of the first film in the trilogy seemed like a thoroughly enjoyable experience for the cast and crew, and that makes me think that Peter Jackson is open to collaboration on his project. You know, spin the wheel and see what comes of it. There were certainly enough jubilant and airborne hobbits for something unscripted to happen. Something does happen when Gandalf, played by veteran British stage and film actor Ian McKellen, comes to visit his aged friend Bilbo Baggins. He makes the rounds through the village before knocking on Baggins' tiny door. They greet one another heartily before Bilbo invites the 5'11" wizard inside. Gandalf ducks inside and maneuvers around some face-level obstacles like a chandelier, and in the process, he lurches his head forward, smacking right into a beam. McKellen decided on this in the moment, and, of course, he didn't interrupt the take and blurt out, "Peter, darling, after I dodge this chandelier, I'm thinking of thrusting my head against that beam and giving myself a concussion. What do you think?" No, that's not Ian's style. He followed his instincts to create a really funny situational gag that made the final cut.
And I fell in and broke my legs.
Such a tragedy.
Orb Drop, Guardians of the Galaxy. Chris Pratt's career has been ascending steadily over the past few years, and it's not a shocker that the success of the Guardians of the Galaxy movie and the highly anticipated sequel will push him over the top. The kid's got A-list screen appeal, oozing with charisma, goofiness, likability, and humility. Parks and Rec really showcased all of these qualities that we love about Pratt, and if we were to turn our gaze to this show, we're sure to discover ad-libs and bloopers galore. But alas, we must pass on Pawnee for now. For an actor with the nickname Monkey Boy, we can only assume that he was tagged this years ago when he was a nobody and cracking up his friends, but now it's looking like he's going to be the dominant primate soon enough. I guess we could call that an evolution. Now, if there's one thing that monkeys love to do, it's dance around, and Pratt practically boogied throughout Guardians of the Galaxy, sometimes to entice the Green Lady, or to distract Ronan the Accuser in a last-ditch attempt to save the universe. But you have to act seriously sometimes, especially when in the presence of the Collector, played by Benicio del Toro in Nowhere, the mining colony, formerly the severed head of a really big celestial being. Even here, Star-Lord's overcompensating pelvic thrusts fail to woo Gamora, and she threatens him at knife point, and I bet that stifled Quill's groove. Following this turnoff, he presents the Collector the orb, and herein provides us a brilliant blooper as he hands the object over, but it looks like Pratt is still monkeying around, dropping it out of the bottom frame, along with the sound effect of it hitting the floor. Pratt jumps back up unfazed, handing it over. Even when his feet are still, he's still rolling with it.
but I thought it was boring, and you were in trouble.
Oh, look at that. We were right. Not a single banana peel in the list. Just a lot of talented performers handling the unscripted like pros. Did any of these surprise you? It can be pretty funny to watch these moments again knowing they were accidents. Which one is your favorite of all time? And should they be implemented in movies more often? Leave your comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to CBR and join the notification squad to stay up to date on all of our new stuff.